Agute midroche yatzloche. Agute Woche, everyone. Welcome to today's Rambam Shir, Motzei Shabbos. Nice, crispy, cold, 5 below, 10 below zero. Freezing cold. Baruch Hashem, we are here getting warm by learning the Rambam. We are holding Perek Revi'i, Perek Daled, discussing the laws of witnesses, testimonies. We could divide this Perek into two headlines. First headline is witnesses that are witnessing have to see each other. And the second headline is, could we combine two separate testimonies of witnesses together in certain cases? So let's begin. And for the record right now, it's 1:37 a.m. Baruch Hashem, we're making some progress. We can start before 2 a.m. That's already a good thing. We're making some progress. So let's get right into it. Halacha Aleph. Eidin nefashay tzrichin shiyu shneim royin oisa avera ke'echad. Utzrichin lehoid ke'echad v'istin echad. Ava b'din v'manis eidin tzrichin lekach. The Rambam is saying that witnesses that come to witness in capital murder cases, they need to come in together to the same court at the same time. And you need to witness the story at the same time as well. None of that, what do I mean by the same time? Meaning they both need to witness it together. You can't be witnessing it from two different locations. One is on the 30th floor of an apartment building, and one is on the first floor. You have to be together. Ketzad. We're going to explain. What does this mean? So let's say you have one witness, I don't know, on the top of a building, another witness on the bottom of the building, and they both can see a person doing an avera. So if those two witnesses could see each other, they have eye contact, and while they're seeing the person do the avera, then they fit as, then they could combine and become as one witness, as two witnesses together, connected. The imlav ein mitzarfin. If they can't see each other while it's happening, they do not combine as a pair of witnesses. Let's see if we have a picture explaining that. I think we should have one right over this microphone. Let's see that. Let's get the camera and the mic. You got that? So you see right there, there's two witnesses at the balcony. They clearly see each other, and they could also see the guy doing the avera. So, in this case, both witnesses combine as one team to witness. They could combine as one team. Okay, im lav emet safen. How is that massive boy? Now, another situation. What happens if the two witnesses, they are together, but they can't see the person doing the act? They could see somebody warning, let's say the person starting the motorcycle. They see the guy starting the motorcycle. They see the guy telling the other person, that he's warning them not to start the motorcycle, but they can't see the actual guy in the motorcycle. They could only see the person warning. That sounded a bit complicated, so that's why we made a picture for that. Let's see where that is. That is right over here. Here's one more time. Whoop. You saw that? He sees them. they see the guy who sees the motorcyclist. Okay, this video, the motorcyclist went really fast and he didn't warn them, but I'm talking about a scenario where he was right in front of him and he warned them and they saw him. So very similar to that. So in this case, if they only see that tall guy that sees them over the fence, that sees the biker over the fence, they could go and testify and say they saw him. Based off that, they could go and testify they saw him and they warned him and he got warned. It was Mechal Shabbos. If both witnesses were in one house, what happens if one witness pops his head out of the window and he sees the scenario going on that he's about to Mechal Shabbos, and then he puts his head back, and then the other guy sticks his head out the window after that, and then he sees that he's about to Mechal Shabbos, the same person, then you can't join because you saw them two separate times. One popped his head out, put it in, the other guy popped his head out, then he put it in. You don't combine. Yeah. Is much more than elus elu or elus they achas. Imein no elus elu. Learn to the phrase of the master. Have elus they eduyos. Now, what happens if you have two peers of witnesses, two over here and two over here on the balcony, and you're looking down and you see one person warning the biker, and so if these two witnesses can see each other, then they combine. They go to the court, and now there's four witnesses. We can combine them as one with testimony. If they see each other and they see what's going on below. And in such a case, and if that's what we said is good. Now, if one with the two peers are, let's say, on the bottom of the building, the other peers on the top, and they don't see each other, but they both see down, they see the guy warning him, but they can't see each other because one is too high. They can't see each other. In such a case, they do not combine. And what does it make a difference if they combine or not? We have two anyway. Two is enough. So why is it? Does 2 or 4 words make a difference? We can answer that. Now, what happens if one pair of witnesses turns out to be lying? Someone came and said, how did you witness this? You were somewhere else at the same time. So how did you witness him riding a bike on Shabbos? A motorbike. Then in such a case, the person who rode the bike still gets killed because he still had valid witnesses. The other group of witnesses did see him and they were not devaluated. That's the right word in English. Okay, let's double check that. Yeah, so now it also says, not only that, it's a funny case. The two witnesses also get killed because they tried blaming him from Chal Shabbos, even though they did not see. So they basically accused him. And because they accused him of Chal Shabbos, they also get killed because of the other two witnesses, which said, we saw you somewhere else. So they're only accusing. But at the same time, he really didn't Chal Shabbos because the two other witnesses did see him. That's complicated a little bit, but should have made a picture for that, but I didn't get a chance to. I'll repeat that one more time, okay? You have two pairs of witnesses, and they do not see each other. One pair on the top, one on the bottom of the balcony. One is on the top of, one is on the rooftop, and one is on the bottom. So the ones on the rooftop claim they saw the guy riding a bike on Shabbos, and the guys on the bottom also claim they saw the guy riding a bike on Shabbos. Now the two on the top turned out to be in a different city when this happened. So they too get killed because they tried accusing someone of Mechal Shabbos. Now, why? So how do you know the story happened altogether? Because these two people saw it happen. So because the two other people saw it happen, so and at the end of the day, the story was true. So therefore, the two witnesses that accused them of false they falsely accused him because they weren't there to get killed, because they tried killing someone for doing a prohibition on Shabbos. And the third guy gets killed. The guy who did the prohibition gets killed because he had two witnesses seeing him. Wow, that was nice, complicated, and simple, right? All right. Let's see. Let's see if we have let's see if we have a picture for that. We kind of have a picture for that. Let's look here. You see, there's one guy on the roof, one guy downstairs. He can't see him. All right. Okay, let's continue going. Let's get this mic back up. We have to get more and more advanced slowly, maybe figure out the mic situation. Okay, Abba Dinamon is all this applies to Dinin Nefashis, capital cases. אבל בדין ממונס, אף פי שלא זה אחר זה, עדוס המצטרפת. כתר לא מראה לך בפני וביים פליני. אוי בפני ולא יבמראה לשני וכני ולא בפני. לא ידע ביים אחר, אלו מצטרפים. What happens if you have two witnesses? One witness says, I saw him borrow money on Sunday. And another witness walked in and say, on Monday, this guy told me that he borrowed money from him on Sunday. So the 2 different days, they both combine. And they could witness, they could testify. Yeah, very. This is very similar. Let's read this one more time just to get this clear. One guy says, I've witnessed the loan. The other guy says, and the other guy says, I saw this person, the borrower, admitting to the lender that he borrowed money from him. Or the first witness says the opposite. He says, I saw that he admitted that he borrowed money. And the other witness comes a day later, or a while later, says, I saw that he borrowed money. Then they combine together. Now, same two, they don't have to witness at the same time. One could come today, and one could come a week later. One guy comes to say, hey, I saw him borrow money. The other guy could come a few days later and says, hey, he told me that he borrowed money. Hey, if you have two witnesses, one witness, you have a signature on a document. Signature on a document that he borrowed money. And the other witness is not on a document, but he witnessed that he borrowed money. And he said, there's no written testimony, but he told me I can make a kinyan with what he said. Let's see that. What does that mean? This is a bit interesting. He saw a guy borrowing money, and he told him, I'll make a kinyan. What is a kinyan? A kinyan usually is, let's say you want to buy a cow, you want to buy something, make a kinyan. You give from the buyer or the seller, the seller holds a piece of cloth and he says, I'm buying you something. Let's say you have a cow, you want to pick up a cow, you have a property, let's say you buy a cow, but the cow is not there. You went to the plant, you want to buy a cow. So some places, you could go buy even these days, you could buy a cow and give it to the butcher, and he will chop it up for you. You will have meat for a whole year. I know people who do that. People just buy cows, and they keep it they pay a company to chop up the cow for them, to process the cow, and then they keep it in the freezer. They have it for a year or something. They have so much meat that they can just last them for a very long time. So that's how you make a kinyan. A kinyan, the simplest way to make a kinyan is especially if the item is not present. Let's say the cow is not there. So you take a handkerchief. Um, the buyer gives it to the seller, and the seller picks it up and he says, "I am selling you my cow, or I'm selling you my slave. I'm selling you my property." He holds it, and then he gives it back. That's called kinyan, kinyan sudar, kinyan khalifin. There's different words. Kinyan sudar is like a handkerchief. Kinyan khalifin means that you're switching from hand to hand. That's kinyan khalifin. Many different ways of calling it. Let's see if we have a video for that. And get ready.
I am selling you my cow. I am selling you my cow.
That, my friends, is called a kinyan sudar. He sells him his cow by the lift of a handkerchief. So you could do the same thing with witnesses. Tell a witness, hold this. Now you're my witness that I borrowed money or that I lent money. And I give you the power to write this down on a document. He authorizes, it's basically authorizing a witness to write it down as like an official. I mean, the witness, it's like he's kind of on his own, and he could go and write it down on a document. Yeah. So if you made a kinyan, but the only thing is, the person who borrowed did not say, the person who lent did not say, write this down on a document. He just said, you made a kinyan. So that's why I didn't write it. But I have like the kind of like the I have a very powerful authority of this happening, something like that. Shnei mitzaref, in such a case, they both combine, even though one is written and one is verbal. So the two witnesses combine, and the borrower can't say, "Oh, I already paid it back." In such a case, because you have two witnesses, like on a document, it becomes more official. Even though this person is on the document, because he had the kinyan, it's powerful like a document. And then the only way you could get out of it and say, "Hey, I paid him back," is if you have two other witnesses proving that you paid it back. Meaning, in a normal case, if you want to be in a document, you say, "Yeah, there's two witnesses says I borrowed money, but I paid it back," so believe him according to what he said. But if once it's written down, it's a different story. You have to prove that you paid it. הלכה ו' הידך לבית דין זה, והידך שני בית דין אחר. יל בית דין אצל בית דין ויצרף עדותן. If there are two witnesses, one is in Texas and one is in Florida, they gave testimony about the same story that he borrowed money. In such a case, both Beis have to come together and testify. Both Beis have to combine, and then it becomes into one testimony. Same to if the two witnesses witnessed in one court, and then the two witnesses witnessed again in a different court, they could come and combine together, and they could join together and they could discuss the case, the matter, because once the testimony came in front of them, they could discuss the case together, and like give authority and give and determine does he owe the money, does not owe the money. As long as they're separate, they can't really get involved in the case. If you bring all them together, then they could all deal with in the same case. And they're like authorized, so to speak, to discuss the case because they had the testimony in front of them and they could give their opinion and ultimately bring their psak din. אבל אם עדיין שהעידו שני עדים בפניו, הם מצטרפים. אבל עדים עדיין שהעידו שני עדים בפניו, הם מצטרפים. Yeah, but if there was just if there was one witness and one dayan, meaning someone gave a testimony but the one dayan, they can't combine and say, oh, we know the case, because the witness is testifying to the dying, and the dying is testifying that he heard the case. So you heard the case. That doesn't mean you don't have the authority. You didn't hear from two witnesses. אף על פי שמצרף עדות מידי ממון צריך שכל עד משניהם בכל הדבר כמו שביארנו. אבל הם עד אחד מצד דבר, שני מצד דבר, אין מקיים מצד דבר מעיד לשניהם, שניהם יוקם דבר ולא חצי דבר. Even though, so now we established that witnesses could combine, but they combine personally, right? They could combine, but they cannot combine the story, a half a story. Let's say one person says, I saw the beginning of the story, and one person says, I saw the end of the story. You can't combine them. So let's say, I don't know, let's say you see one witness says, I saw them talking about lending the money, and it was about to lend him the money. Another guy says, yeah, and I saw him handing the money. So one guy saw half the story, the other guy saw half the story. You can't put those two together. Each one has to see the full story and give a testimony of the full story. Because it says Yakum Dover. It says something should stand, meaning the testimony should get established, so to speak. Not a half a story. Oh, sorry. Oh, here's an example. I forgot there's an example over here. The Rambam himself brings an example. Ketzad. זו אומר, אוכל סוד זו שנה פלייניס, וזה העיד שאוכל בשנה שנייה. זה העיד שאוכל בשנה שישיס. אם מצפן עיד זו שנה באים מן האוכל שלוש שנים, כל אחד ואחד העיד במקצת הדבר. What does this mean? In the Kenyan, if someone is sitting in someone's field for 3 years with no opposition, he becomes the rightful owner after 3 years. It's a very long and details involved, but that's the short story. So if you decide, if you're a squatter, if you squat, let's make it like more real life. Let's say if you squat in a house in New York for 3 years and nobody tells you anything, the house becomes yours. Yeah, we know the whole squatting, it's called the squatting saga, the squatting crisis. People go in New York and different places, they just squat in people's houses, and that's it. It becomes theirs. Yeah, but appeal halacha, it's a process of 3 years. Now, what happens if witnesses show up and one witness says, "Oh, I saw him doing it in the year 2020," and the other guy says, "I saw him in his house in 2021." Another witness says, "I saw him in his house in 2022." Then they don't combine. Each one has to sing for 3 consistent years. Go by the field, I have to see him in the field for 3 years. זה שאני ראיתי שער האחת בצד ימין שזה, זה אומר, ראיתי שער האחת בצד שמאל בריסאים, הם מצטרפים דברי שניהם כדי שאמרו, העידו שניהם שזה גודל בים פלייני, כל האחד העיד מקצת הסימנים. Yeah, and same too, if one person says he saw one here or here, like I say, he says one here or there, it doesn't make the person fitted, grown, if each one saw a different sign. So certain signs of growth by a person, and if each person saw only one sign, it doesn't combine. אפילו העידו שניהם בשר האחת, והעידו שניהם אחדים בשר האחת, שכל כספין העיד על חצי דבר, אין זה עדוס. Even if 2 witnesses witnessed on a half a story, and other 2 witnesses also witnessed on a half a story, yeah, on the signs of growth by a man. Each one witnessed each 2 witnesses on a half a story is still not good enough. אבל אם העיד האחד שראה שתי שערות בצד ימין, והעיד השני שראה שתי שערות בצד שמאל, מצטרפים לכן כל גרצה בזה. If one witness says, his witnesses on a half a story, he says that he saw one hair growing on one side, and the other witness says he saw 2 hairs growing on the other side. So you have 2 witnesses combining, even though one of them only saw half the story, but the other one saw the full story. Because of that, there are 2 testimonies combined together. Thank you very much. We have completed Baruch Hashem, Perek Dalid, and God willing, we will complete tomorrow Perek Chamishi. Gute Nacht. Have a good night.